The workshop for the City Commission for Tuesday, September 26, 2023 will come to order. Please join me in silencing our cell phones. Madam City Clerk, please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin?
Here.
Commissioner Perrine?
Here.
Commissioner McGurk?
Here.
Vice Mayor Hartman?
Here.
Mayor Cleveland?
Here.
Thank you.
Let's move into public participation. Are there any citizens who wish to speak and address the commission at this time? Please step forward. You'll have 3 minutes to do a monologue at this time. For the record, state your name and address, please, sir.
Good evening, Tony Oddie.
Hello, Tony.
3530 Grand Tuscany Way. I am a retired person, but even more so now than from when I was working, I truly appreciate being a resident of the city of New Smyrna Beach. I mean, the beach, the natural environment, our people, revitalized historic downtowns, the art, the history. We have so many wonderful things. And with those wonderful things, we also have still significant challenges with growth and development, all the development pressures, traffic issues, beach issues, beach access, the climate effects on the beach. So with these challenges, we now have an opening in the city manager position, and the residents and the business owners are all relying on the city commission to choose the best person for this position. And I think the only way to do that and give everybody a fair chance for the position is to have an open competition. And an open competition would ensure that the city commission receives a group of well-qualified candidates to choose from, to give you options. Everyone wants options with a difficult decision. And this option, this search done in this way with an open competition, it can be done at a low cost by the city's Human Resources Department or at a deep discount that I've heard of from the Florida Retired Managers Group that has been doing that for many, many years successfully. So I would encourage you to explore that option as well as far as carrying out an open competition. So in conclusion, I strongly recommended that you have an open competition, and this is the best way to deliver to you a group of well-qualified candidates for you to pick from. Thank you.
Thank you for your time, sir. Is there anyone else for public participation? Hello, Bob.
Good afternoon, Bob Williams, 767 Pine Shores Circle. First of all, I want to say we've been so blessed with Khaled's leadership. It's going to be hard for anyone to fill his shoes. And also, absolutely. And also,
I'm supposed to say at this point, order, but I get it.
I know, it's to the commission's benefit that you hired a great manager, but it's also a testament to him that he has such a good staff. And the fact that we have internal candidate, I think, is a testament, again, to the leadership that we have here. But I'll share with you, my kids are fourth generation Floridians. And although my family moved here just 45 years ago, and, in the decades when I was building my career, putting over 1 million miles, flying around, I got used to, you'd go somewhere and they'd say, well, where's your family from? And, I'd say, oh, I'm from the Daytona Beach area. Because if you said New Smyrna Beach, they said, well, where, what? But something's happened in the last 10 years. I would just, out of habit, say that, and they would go, oh, I know where that is. We like New Smyrna Beach. In fact, it happened last year when I was on a Holy Land trip to Israel. we are a world-class community. And I think out of recognition for that, it would behoove us to open it up and look around and see who might be interested in coming here. All of the candidates, including our internal candidate, have credentials that will stand on their own. And I think it would be a disservice, even to Ron, not to let him compete and prove on his own that he's the best candidate. So that would be my encouragement to you, to give an opportunity to open it up. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Appreciate it. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Dr. Herman.
Dr. Mayor, Commission, City staff. I want to, I guess, pay tribute to Colin. It's sort of like being at your own funeral when we're talking about your replacement. But I think that's a good moment because it says you've done a great job. Second, I want to appreciate the HR department for putting together the workshop. I assume that's who did it. And spelling out options. And the third, I would endorse what the other two speakers have said, is the importance of opening the candidacy as wide as possible. And this is in no way a negative commentary on Ron and his position. But I do believe we are facing huge growth and huge challenges. And it's important that everyone feels like we've got the best person. If you decide to go to a point from within, and having had that happen to me in my own career, I think it's important if you do that, that Ron would have to defend and be interviewed as if he were the only candidate. Otherwise, he's not getting a fair hearing, nor is the community getting a fair hearing. But if you open it up, my other concern is there may be good people out there who are in a public position, and I think if they apply through a search, are their applications public? I don't know. But if they are, that might keep some good people from applying, and I don't know how you deal with that, but I know if you're in a public position, you may not want people to know that you're looking around. So I don't know if there's a way you can address that. But I applaud you doing this. I think it's, again, it's a commitment to our transparency, and I know the citizens, staff, and you as the commission are looking for the best person for this difficult challenge. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, sir. Is there anyone else like to speak to the commission on the topic? Thank you. Public participation is now closed. We'll continue on with the workshop with our Human Resources Director, Heather Kidd. Have you got a report? I'm sure you do. I've read it a couple times, but anxious for your presentation.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. Thank you for letting me present this to you this afternoon. I appreciate that. I think we all echo everything everyone has said in the room. It's going to be a big job to fill college shoes. We have a lot to do. So I've presented some options for you tonight for you to look at, and then you'll have time for discussion afterwards. So just as some quick background that I think everyone knows, but we'll just go over it really quick. Khalid has been with our city for 34 years. He became our city manager in 2019. At that time, he had already been with our city for 30 years and entered into the FRS drop. At that time, FRS drop was for 5 years, and that was what his contract was for. Khalid is scheduled to retire in August of next year, and so you'll need to determine the route that you desire to replace our city manager. So we've got some options and timelines for this process follows in the next few slides. Option 1 is our internal succession, and as we've discussed, that's to promote our current assistant city manager, Ron Niebert. This would be a seamless transition with no recruitment cost. Ron has been here 2 years, almost 2 years, and he has already created current working relationships with the commission, staff, and citizens. Ron's background is he was hired here in 2022. He has over 30 years of experience in local government and 20 plus years as a city administrator or city manager in other local governments. Option 2 is to do an external recruitment. And we have a couple options for that. The first one is to do a recruitment that's conducted by our Human Resources Department with My People, or to do an outside consultant. Some things that I'd like you to consider when you're thinking about this is if we go with the route of having my department, Human Resources, do our recruitment, the time commitment from my staff will be burdened with the department having to complete regular duties. A large recruitment like this will take a lot of time. My recruiter that I have is not a seasoned recruiter. She is new to this, but even with my help and my department's help, there'd be a lot that we would have to take on a huge recruitment of this size. The other thing I'd like you to think about is if Human Resources does our recruitment, all applications become public record immediately and may deter some candidates from applying. So when I'm doing that and I'm receiving, if we get a public records request for all of the information that we've received to date, I'll be required to do that. That may deter some public officials or some other city managers, especially if they're local, from applying because they may not want their city or their municipality to see that they're applying for another job. The other part of that is that our background and reference checks can be limited with the resources that I have versus the resources a national company would have. So if we did something like that, it would create even more cost that we would have to look at as an internal if we were doing the recruitment process. Some things to think about if we go with an outside consultant is that the cost for that is going to range between $25,000 and $50,000 based on the estimates that I've received from a couple of the local places that do that and also from some of the last cities who've had to do this in the last few years. One of the pluses for them is that the background and reference checks are included and they actually do on-site for the candidate's location. So they would actually travel to the places where the candidates are, do actual local background checks and reference checks there in the places that they are. We would need to go to an RFP to get our outside consultant in fall. So we'd need to make that decision very quickly if we were going to do something of that nature. The gentleman who spoke earlier had asked if we, I forgot his question, I'm so sorry. But we had talked about if we have the internal candidates, and then there was another one that I wanted to touch on. I will remember it as we go, I apologize. The public records, yes, those will become public records. So a basic recruitment timeline for our selection, if we go the RFP route and we look for an outside consultant to help us with this, we'll need to start that selection in the fall of 2023, which means very quickly. Our plan would be either way, if we use the consultant or if Human Resources did this, our plan would be to advertise for the position in January of 2024 and accept applications for 45 to 60 days. We'd review all the applicants in March, beginning of March, and then hopefully present a short list of 6 to 10 candidates to the commission in late March. So that's when we would bring our list to you. You would have that time to review them. From that list, you would schedule commission interviews in April. You'd have individualized interviews where we'd schedule one-on-ones with each of you with the candidates. We'd also have a commission meeting where you would do a public group interview so that the public could witness that. And then we could also schedule an open house event for our citizens so that they would have a chance to meet our candidates and they'd have a chance to get to know them and ask questions of them specifically. We would hope that our commission would be able to select a candidate in May and begin negotiations with that person. Negotiations would continue into May and early June with the hope of our final approval being at the first meeting we have in June of next year so that our candidate can begin their appointment in August. Some other information that I gathered for you, if you desire to use an outside consultant, of course, again, we'll need to go through the RFP process. This is a list of consultants that have been used at other municipalities in the past. Edgewater and South Daytona both use the Florida City and County Management Association, FCCMA, with Ken Parker. I did speak to Ken to see what the interest would be and just to get some more information from him. He did inform me that unfortunately this FCCMA option is only for small cities. Our population is too large for what they do, and so that would not be an option for FCCMA at this time. Daytona Beach has used the Slavin Management Consultants out of Daytona. DeLand used the SGR, Strategic Government Resources. That was 10 to 12 years ago. Ponce Inlet recently used Jim Deneen at GovHR USA. And those are just the basics. There are many other consultants out there, but those are the ones that were used most recently in our local area. So with that, that's my presentation. You have all of your information. I'm happy to answer any questions I can, and then you can have your discussion, and then I would hope that you would give me some direction when you're finished.
Thank you, Director Kidd. Appreciate your comments and remarks. And in deference to the city manager, I know how this may be uncomfortable to sit here and listen to us talk about your successor. All praise, honor, and glory to you for doing all the right things, Colin. This has nothing to do with your time here. You've done an amazing job, as others have said. So thank you for enduring us talking about you and about your successor. Similarly with Assistant City Manager Nybert, I'll lead with my chin here. I favor the option that says Ron Niebert is a candidate and applies regardless of whether we go inside or outside. I think all options include our Assistant City Manager as a candidate. Anyway, are there comments or questions for Director Kidd from the dais? Vice Mayor?
So if we use the outside consultant, then all of those records are not public at that time.
Correct. They're
Until
not
we get
public
down to-
record until we're finished, which would be really when we present the 6 to 10 final candidates to you.
Okay. And realistically, do you really think this timeline would work? Or should we put maybe a little earlier to give us
Yes.
a little flex time in there? Because ideally, June and July are usually budget times, and I would hope that if we pick someone, or at least had a short list, that person may want to participate in those conversations, or watch the meetings, at least so he knows what he's going to get into when he comes in August.
So the schedule that I laid out for you was just a discussion that I had with Ken Parker, just
Okay.
to get some ideas of what it would look like for recruitment times based on items where he's done this before. We could adjust that schedule to whatever works for the commission and what you would prefer.
And then how quickly could we get an RFP out?
I think that would depend on our purchasing agent and myself to get that out as quick as we could. I'd have to talk to her about that.
Okay.
I would echo.
One more
Commissioner-
time. One more
I'm sorry.
time. Anything else, Vice
No,
Mayor?
that's all I had.
Okay. Commissioner McGirt.
So I'm going to echo what's already been said. I would first say that let's move as quickly as possible on the RFP. Obviously, I'm supporting going for the outside option, hiring a search firm, bringing in candidates. I've been through a few of these, whether directly or indirectly. We've done police chief once or twice, done the city attorney. I recently did the executive director of the TPO. So the search firms, I think right now, under our circumstances, is a good choice. Get a pool of what's out there. I want to stress to my fellow commissioners, I can tell you that sometimes you get good candidates and sometimes you don't. Sometimes they vet and weed out candidates that shouldn't be there, and sometimes they don't. So it's not a kumbaya, we're going to go out on a search firm and we're going to have 5 or 6 people we just can't make a decision on because they're so great. I hope that's the case, but my experience has been you get a unique set of people who it can be very challenging. And my opinion on the assistant city manager, that's going to be the bar for me. Ron's the bar, and the question is there somebody there that I feel is head and shoulders above that? So that's just my feelings going into the search. And when we break it down, and I think we should have a short list of 5 or 6 that are given to us, that will be what I'm comparing. And that's the process that I think that works best. I will say that the most important part of this, from my perspective, is the one-on-one personal interviews. So I want to make absolutely certain that that portion of it is included in the RFP. They understand, and that's going to be available. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Morgan.
I think it's starting to sound like an echo chamber around here. I, too, think that open competition, and we'd love to have Ron involved in that, with an outside consultant, gives us the widest view of the world. And again, like an echo chamber, if we can accelerate the process, because as Commissioner McGurk said, first go-round, we may not get anybody, and to have that cushion of time for a second one. So, sort of all speed ahead, and let's look at what we've got. Obviously, the outside consultant would be included in that, and I believe we budgeted for that, didn't we?
We did.
That's what I thought. We budgeted for
Yes.
an outside consultant. Thank you for.
Commissioner Perine.
I'm on the same page. The public record issue concerns me. The time frame, I think we need to move up just in case we run into hiccups and have to start all over, or, we need to make us switch out. You give us 6 and there's 10, but we don't want to interview 10. That could delay things. When it concerns internal candidates, I think Ron should most definitely be in that open group. And one thing I'd like to hear from is Khalid. He's been working with Ron on a succession plan. And for the 3 new up here, we've only worked with Ron for a year. The other people up here have had 2 years. And I'd kind of like to hear what Khalid has to say and what he recommends.
Thank you, Commissioner Perine. Khalid, your expertise is always valued, so before I weigh in, I'd love to understand what you have to say.
Well, thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. I've been working with Ron for the past year and a half. Ron will have 2.5 years with me when I retire. When we selected Ron, we had 6 applicants that we interviewed, and Ron was selected based on his experience with local government, being a city manager for the past 20 years. So since Ron became the assistant city manager, I have tasked him with quite a few projects, and he has done an outstanding work. I have full confidence in Ron to take over. I have no issues with him being the city manager. So with his experience, and I have given him quite a bit of things to do for the past seven months. And every project that I gave him, every task that I gave him, he has done outstanding on it. So now, as far as speeding up the process, I'm just going to tell you, the drop has extended from 5 years to 8 years. So if you run into a problem, I'm still available. So I'm not going anywhere. So just as a cushion.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that.
Mayor, I had,
Yes,
before
sir.
you
No,
go, I
yeah,
had
go
one
right
more
ahead.
question.
Any follow-up?
Heather, who would weed it down to the 6 to 10 candidates?
We have a couple options there. We could leave that to the consultant. We could create a committee from the staff and/or upper level management. We have some options there, and once we select a consultant, we'd be able to discuss that with them and set that
Okay.
up.
And Vice Mayor, if I may, I could tell you about that one too, is typically what happens is they will get, and I'm expecting probably get 100 applications. So typically what they do is you tell them I need to shortlist 12. And that would be my recommendation to the commission. So you get 12, and then you shortlist for the interviews, and then you have the 6 as a backup. But you have the option of saying, I would like to review the applications besides the 12 that you have. So they'll give you a list and you could review them if you want to.
And if I may also, real quick also, one of the things that we'll be asking in the RFP process is making sure that whatever consultant we select will allow us to create a really good candidate profile, because that will be the part where each of you will have some really good input on what you're looking for in a city manager for our city, and they'll take that, so when they're reviewing their applicants, they will have a really good profile of what they're looking for.
The reason the question was, given my past experience on some of those promotional tests that taken and stuff like that, there's always been like an outside agency that's added somebody to the process. Could we look at somebody else, maybe from another city that, would also sit on that panel, so that you're not looking, everybody's not looking from the New Smyrna Beach?
Sure.
Maybe somebody who's looking at it from a different view, and whether it's a weighted, scoring, or they just get an opinion, we can talk about that at some point in time. But
Absolutely.
I think it would be good to have somebody maybe outside of, the local community also participate in that process.
Yes, Commissioner Martin.
In the weeding out process, could we have the department heads involved? These are the people that will be working every single day with the city manager, and I think it would be interesting to have their input and their reactions. They can see things that we can't from this side.
So, Commissioner McGurk.
I didn't want to,
No, I'm going to go after everybody goes.
so in my experience with this, it's never a good idea to bring to the commission too many. You don't want 8, 10, 12. You definitely want a group of people, a body, vetting a short list that the consultant gives, and then the committee then provides a shorter list, 5 to 6 to us. So I just want to stress that importance, because when you get, I think at the TPO had like 10 or 12 of them. It was too much time spent trying to vet that many people. So I would
Okay.
certainly recommend that what comes to us would be a short list of 5 to 6.
Very good. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Heather, for your preparation. I appreciate that. I share some of the same comments, but I will say directly to the world here, this is the biggest decision that this commission will make while this commission sits. Of all the decisions we make day in and day out, this one will have the most lasting impact, is my view. I have had the pleasure and challenge to select many executives over my different careers, hire and fire, and using firms, national firms, regional firms, and no firms, our own HR department. I am sympathetic to the challenges that you face as our HR director, and also favor going outside for the privacy of any applicants. There may be strongest applicants that would not want to reveal their determination until they made the final 5 or 6. So I think being outside is helpful. I think this starts with us, this body, interviewing the potential firms. I don't want to delegate that to a small committee of insiders to say, okay, I like to work with these guys. I think we would be the best judges of what the qualifications a firm might have, and so they come up in the public eye and say, hey, I'd like to have this job, and here's my my response to the RFP, and here's how I do it, and have them give us a robust plan that we could all either relate with or say, nope, that's not our candidate. Candidate to pick a candidate to for the selection firm, I think is the second most important thing we're going to do. I'm not impressed with the group. No offense, I'm not impressed with the small group that we have to choose from, and so I think we ought to open the aperture for that, and we can get opinions from other cities for sure. But there's other ways to do that with HR professionals that we have in the region. I like the Vice Mayor's idea about finding another municipality to participate, one of their executives potentially. The other thing I would favor is we have a very highly skilled executive right here in New Smyrna Beach who works hand in glove with City Manager Rashadat, and it's Joe Bunch, the CEO of the Utilities Commission. That relationship will have to continue. If you've had any time with Mr. Bunch, you realize he is a cut above as well. Love to have his input, because he will have to work with this person day in and day out, and we have repaired a damaged, fractured relationship. Mr. Bunch was helpful and largely responsible for how well it goes. I trust him, and I would favor him having a hand on the throttles there. Ormond Beach has got another similar situation, and we might get a few tips from them. Yes, the individual department, the individual interviews with each of us privately is important. I would favor doing that after the candidate has met every department head. Part of my questioning would be what their take was on the cadre of folks that the person will have to work with going forward. We will be able to tell a lot about that person by his assessment of our current state. So I would favor the order being meet with the internal folks first, meet with us separately to make that assessment, and then the last is that I favor this, certainly public participation, not a town meeting where it's run by the city, but potentially we do our public questioning here and then allow citizens to come forward and ask any question they want while we're watching and while we're controlling the meeting, so we can make sure that it goes in an orderly fashion. I do not favor selecting a small group of citizens to act as a select group. It causes unintended second consequences. I favor open dialogue. Anybody that's that interested should come to the city event and feel free to ask their own questions. Backing this back up, my last piece is that the timeline is insufficient, as the Vice Mayor has pointed out. I do not want the next city manager to deal with a budget that they were handed. I think they should have a part to play in the forming of the budget. That's not an easy process. We went through it, most challenging one this year. I do not want a repeat of that. And so if we could change that timeline significantly, we get to pull the trigger when we want to. We get to say, we want to select, but we'll tell you when to show up. And so we're not going to force Mr. Rashidad out the door, but I favor 2 in the box. I favor a time for them to get used to what's going on. And our sure thing bet against that is that we will always have Mr. Niebert here as the assistant city manager. And should we select him as the new city manager, and I like the way Mr. McGurk said, that is the floor of performance. If we find what we think is a better candidate, great. If we don't, then we have someone with great skills already. So anyway, those are my thoughts. Do you have, timeline is not sufficient. I'm ready to start finding the search firm immediately, and that'll take its process. That'll take us months just to find the right firm that we agree on. So I don't think you can start too soon in finding and culling together a group of firms that would be interested in sitting before us and offering their services. For us to select that is probably the second most important thing, because we're going to have a relationship with that firm. We've got to we've got to respect and appreciate what they're going to do behind the curtain that we don't know about, and so knowing that ahead of time will be very helpful. And we can circulate our ideas about other municipalities, department heads. All those ideas can come out at that time. Do you have enough direction, or do you need more specific direction than what we've given?
I have
Sir.
something. Your concern about the consultant, the RFP, it doesn't mean that you're going to select from the 2. So RFP, that's mean you're advertising, and you have everybody in the United States will apply for this. So that's not a...
Yeah, I'm not worried about that part. I want to make sure the skills of the firm that we pick, should we decide to pick a firm, and I favor that because of the privacy of not having it exposed.
Yeah. And they will come before the commission. That's what I'm saying. When you select, they're going to come and make a presentation for you.
Perfect.
And then you can select that.
Perfect. Oh, good. Awesome. Yeah, go ahead. Any other follow-up?
Okay, so I think the consensus is that we want a consultant, an outside consultant. Yes. Will we have a special workshop where these presentations will occur? I mean, we really want a compressed timeline here, and I don't see any other way of doing it other than having a workshop specific to reviewing those consultants. Is that an accurate assessment?
So I think what she's asking is, what is the forum? Is it a commission meeting, or we'll have a workshop to have the consultants demonstrate their
City commission
services?
meeting, because it's an RFP. So what happened is we put it out, they submit, staff will open it, with the purchasing agent, and then we come into the city commission as an agenda item where the city commission will listen to the presentation from each firm. We'll probably submit like 6, we shortlist 3. If you like one of them, you pick. If not, then you go to the other 3. It's almost like selection of a city manager.
I beg your indulgence, then please make the agenda accordingly, because you know what we're going to do, right? Okay. Anybody else? Heather, have you got have you got enough
I have my
direction?
direction. I'm good.
Okay. Maybe it would be instructive for you to come back, write us all an email of what you've learned and what you have said, what you have captured from our conversation tonight.
Okay.
Just to solidify with each of us that our voices were heard and we're headed down the right path. I think you heard compression, speed up time frame,
Yes.
more consultant candidates, et cetera.
Yep,
Okay.
I got it.
Okay.
Great, thank you very much.
You bet. Any other commissioner have comments? We're adjourned.